Hi, my name is Andrew Curtwright, and I am a graduate student in the soil biology lab at Michigan State University. And I'll be speaking a little bit today about the soil biology benefits of cover crops. Before we get into that, we should first consider soil health. What is soil health? Well, soil health is a rather nebulous concept, and it means different things to different people. The NRCS has defined soil health as the continued capacity of soil to function as a vital living ecosystem that sustains plants, animals, and humans. Put maybe a little more succinctly, soil health can be thought of as the capacity of the soil to increase crop production over a long and sustained period of time. I also appreciate the Food and Agriculture Organization's definition of soil health because they emphasize the soil biology. They say that healthy soils maintain a diverse community of soil organisms, and that this diverse community helps to control plant disease, insect and weed pests, and forms beneficial symbiotic associations with plant roots. All in all, this ultimately improves crop production. So what exactly is the soil microbial community? Well, one thing for sure is that there's definitely a lot of it. It's hard to know for sure how many soil microbes are underneath the soil, but some people have made some educated guesses, have estimated that 50 to 75% of all living biomass on Earth resides below ground. One way to think of this is to consider all the above ground life, all the plants, animals, trees, and to realize that there is as much life living beneath the surface. So this kind of raises an interesting question. If we pay so much attention to the above ground life, if we so carefully select our crops and varieties, if we pay attention to the weeds and insect pests, shouldn't we be paying as much attention to the life below ground too? One of the benefits that the soil microbial community provides is to improve soil structure, and this happens by building soil organic matter. Soil organic matter is composed of dead and decaying, previously living residues. The soil organic matter acts as a nutrient reservoir, and as such, it supports soil biological activity. Soil organic matter also possesses chemical and physical properties that improve soil structure and increase water holding capacity. Soil organic matter comes from microorganisms breaking down and decomposing plant residues that are left in the field. As the microorganisms do this, they themselves grow and multiply, and eventually they too will die and decay. Some scientists are beginning to find that the soil organic matter derived from these dead and decaying microorganisms is actually more long-lasting than the soil organic matter derived directly from the plant residues themselves. So what this means is that to build soil carbon and soil organic matter in a long-term fashion, that we should improve the health and functioning of the soil microbial community. So how do we do this? Well, this is a question that researchers have been asking for some time. And one practice they found that helps to improve the soil microbial community is by going from a monoculture to a crop rotation. In the top set of graphs, these researchers found that going into a rotation caused, on average, a 20% increase in the number of soil microbes, designated by MBC. They also found that going into rotation increased total soil carbon by about 3 to 5%. These researchers also looked at the effect of including cover crops in this rotation. They found that not having any cover crops in the rotation did not result in any significant increase in soil carbon. However, including cover crops did result in between a 5 and 10% increase in total soil carbon. The soil microbial community is also responsible for cycling essential plant nutrients, such as nitrogen. Of course, nitrogen availability limits crop production, but having too much of it can also cause undesirable off-site impacts, such as eutrophication. The soil microbial community provides nitrogen in the soil by breaking down plant residues that already contain nitrogen. By decomposing these plant residues, the microbes release this nitrogen and make it available to a subsequent crop. Other soil microorganisms are able to enter into symbiotic associations with legumes, such as beans and clovers. And through this association, these microbes are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen, taking nitrogen that's in the air and turning it into a form that's available to the plants. Now, just as the soil biology is able to make nitrogen available to the plants, soil microorganisms are also responsible for some nitrogen losses. One of these is nitrification, and this is a process where soil microbes take ammonium that's been applied to the field by, say, through a fertilizer treatment, and converts this ammonium into nitrate, which is highly susceptible to leaching or runoff. Another form of nitrogen loss that the soil microbiology is responsible for is denitrification. Through this process, microorganisms take soil nitrogen and they convert this into gaseous forms of nitrogen, such as nitrous oxide or dinitrogen gas. Whichever form this takes, this represents a loss of nitrogen from the soil system. In our lab, we asked the question of whether cover crops can improve the health and diversity of the soil microbial community, and whether this would also, in fact, impact the nitrogen cycling processes in the soil. We hypothesized that planting cover crops will increase the amount and diversity of organic inputs to the soil, and this will, in turn, improve the health and diversity of the soil microbial community, resulting in more nitrogen available to the crops. To test this hypothesis, we used 4 cover crop treatments. We used a clover, ryegrass, a mixture of clover and ryegrass, and radish. We interseeded these cover crop treatments into corn at the V6 stage of growth to give the cover crops plenty of time to grow and establish before winter. We took soil samples throughout the growing season and after harvest, and took these soil samples back to the lab to analyze for microbial activity. One of these analyses we looked at was the effect of cover crops on nitrification. Again, this is the process by which soil microbes take ammonium in the soil and convert it into nitrate. We found that each of the cover crop treatments resulted in a reduction in the potential for the soil microorganisms to undertake this process of nitrification. This potentially results in more nitrogen being retained in the field and available for crop uptake. We also looked at the effect of cover crops on this process of denitrification, which results in gaseous losses of nitrogen from the soil. Again, we found that most cover crop treatments reduce the potential for this process to occur, ultimately potentially resulting in more nitrogen remaining in the soil and available for crop uptake. To conclude, cover crops promote efficient nutrient cycling by the soil microbial community. This can lead to reduced nitrogen losses through nitrate leaching or gaseous nitrogen emissions. Cover crops also increase the amount and diversity of residues going into the soil, increasing soil carbon and soil organic matter. By increasing the efficiency of nutrient cycling and improving soil organic matter formation, cover crops in the soil microbial community contribute to healthy soils and improved crop production. This research was undertaken at Michigan State University with the support of a grant provided by USDA NIFA. Thank you.